Yeah, hi, welcome back. So this is now the second thank you video for the 100th issue of the Market Update newsletter. And I want to go with you to my total watch list. So I have at the moment 56 stocks on my watch list, and I will go quickly through all of them with you. So the first one is AMD, so Advanced Micro Devices. You can see they are, the stock is in an uptrend for around 4 years now, so from March 2016, and it exploded, so from around $2 to around $80, so that shows the very, very high demand for AMD. And in this video, I only want to look at weekly charts, because I personally look at the watch list almost from weekly charts, and when I try to get into a stock, then I'm switching more to the daily chart. So, and you can see here this very tight consolidation in AMD here, and that's what I'm interested in. And when I see that the stock is maybe able to break out to the upside, then I consider to buy that. You can see, the numbers are very good if you compare that to other semiconductor stocks. I personally don't like semiconductor stocks at all. I don't think that a normal semiconductor stock has a lot of growth potential. It's more like, they are updating their products, and then people or companies are replacing existing servers and processors, etc., with new generations. But I think AMD and also Nvidia, they are really growing because they are coming into new business situations. So AMD, everyone knows them from laptops or something, but this is not their business. So they are in the business of data centers, and they are producing super high performance chips for data centers. They have also graphic cards like Nvidia, which are used in data centers and needed for all this AI stuff and all this image recognition stuff. And image recognition, don't think about cars or something. This is really not their business. This is only a very, very small business unit. No, they are really doing all the things you need for image recognition in data and also in AI. So, for example, automatic cropping from images or object recognition in images. And that's what they are used for here. And you can see also nice numbers here in EPS growth and also in sales growth here. So, but I personally think, I have it on my watch list, but I'm not so interested in to buy a position here in AMD, because it's from the perspective of the opportunity. I think AMD is more a slow stock or slower stock itself. So, and it rallied a lot. So, but I'm watching it because I like the story. I like the fundamentals here. And maybe if I get a really, really nice entry and I see that the market prefers AMD in comparison to other stocks, then I'm willing to buy into that. Okay, let's go to the next one. That's apps, Digital Turbine. I already spoke about that in my portfolio video, because I sold the position here. The story behind that is also super interesting. Digital Turbine is one of the only public available companies which are producing marketing products to distribute an app. So, for example, if you are a company and you have an app and you want to pre-install the app on devices, and a customer buys a device and your app is pre-installed on that device, this is something Digital Turbine offers. And you must always have in mind that the app economy and app business is huge, and a lot of e-commerce companies make a lot of money with their apps, and this is sometimes more than 50%, and 50% of their revenue. And so apps become more and more and more important for those companies, and that this is something you can see here also in the story from Digital Turbine. Also a big explosion here in price, and I'm not sure if apps has a lot of potential to explode to the upside, so double or triple or whatever. But I think this is also an interesting merger candidate. And we will see. I think the stock needs more rest here and a pause before it's able to going higher, or it maybe corrects here. Avalara, another one from a software business. I like Avalara because they are providing a product for tax optimization. So if you are selling products globally, for example, via an online shop, you have a lot of problems with tax. And they are helping you with that. They automatize all this tax processes, and that you are paying the right taxes in the right countries for the customers, etc. And this is, I think, something which do not so many other companies are offering. And you can see that they are still growing, but the sales growth here decreased a little bit in the last quarters here. Funds are up, which is nice, and also the EPS, yearly EPS, is improving here. Another thing I'm looking for, and they also had their first quarter with positive EPS. And you can see also very nice consolidation here. First big or larger base here, and they're holding up very nicely if you compare that with other software stocks. We will come around a lot of software stocks here in this watch list. Alibaba, another China stock I'm watching here. I'm not so interested to buy a position here. I'm just monitoring the behavior of Alibaba and to more or less get an impression of the China theme itself. So if Alibaba goes down, it's mostly that a lot of other China stocks are going down. Now, if you compare that here, Alibaba has a market capitalization of around 814 billion. So compare that with Amazon, they have much more. So they are around, I think, 2 trillion at the moment. And Alibaba is growing very strong. So if you are more a conservative investor or trader, I think Alibaba is definitely a stock you should have on your watch list. Bandwidth, another software stock. I also thought about to buy Bandwidth when it broke out here, but Bandwidth showed a behavior I personally really don't like, and this is, you can see that there is a clear resistance line, and every time the resistance line is touched, the price pulls back. And this is something I don't like, because that leads to a lot of failed breakouts. And you have a clear channel here, but you can see Bandwidth touched this $200 level and then pulled back. And I think if you compare Bandwidth with other stocks, for example, Twilio is a large competitor from them. Twilio has a more appealing story in my opinion. So Bandwidth is more around telephone services, so for smartphones and digital IP communication. But I think Twilio has a lot of more interesting products when we compare both stocks. But I watch such stocks, and I have that on my watch list to see what is going on in the small niche I'm observing here. BRP Group, so finance in, I think they are in Brazil when I'm right, and offering insurance products, etc. So very nice growth here, very nice numbers. So EPS and sales growth, extreme good. You can see there is a nice consolidation here. It's a young IPO stock, etc. But I'm not interested so much in that. I'm not looking at the moment at finance stocks so much because I think other themes like cloud computing, etc., have more potential, and I'm getting a better connection to those themes. But that does not mean that I'm not trading BRP. So if BRP is setting up very nicely and I get a good entry, I'm also willing to trade such a stock. I also have some gold stocks on my watch list. So B2 Gold is one I'm observing here just from technical perspective. I think it's one of the low-cost gold producers. So they are producing gold for a very, very low price. And but I think that gives them not the huge advantage. So I don't see the huge advantage here because other gold stocks which produce gold for a higher price sometimes have stronger rallies to the upside. When I trade gold stocks or commodity stocks, I trade them only from a technical perspective. And I'm looking here at this very nice consolidation. But before I buy gold stock, I'm looking more at the gold price and how the gold price is behaving because they are very highly correlated. BYD, I already talked about that in my video about my portfolio. CDNA, CareDex, I have that on my watch list. I did not so much research on them, but I got interested on this big explosion here after this very long consolidation. I know the stock because I traded them here in this up run, and I know that from some past years. But I got really interested when the stock broke out of this or bursted out of this consolidation here on higher volume, and then I put such a stock on my watch list. And when that set ups again, I'm getting more and more interested to do research on that. So, but at the moment, I'm just observing that. Celsius. So let's wait a second. Maybe MarketSmith is loading that. Trying again. So here's Celsius. Sorry for that. Sometimes MarketSmith has some loading problems. So Celsius had a very strong rally here. I didn't trade the stock. I'm watching that at the moment. So it's consolidating here. I would not say nicely. I would say very volatile. They are producing very interesting drinks. So I did not so much research on them, but I think they are very popular at the moment, and you can see that in the sales growth here. It's exploding to the upside, and I'm just monitoring that stock if that sets up and if other sister stocks are also breaking out. Chegg, I put that on a watch list. I'm not a big fan of Chegg because you can see the behavior of the stock is always going up, consolidating, going up, consolidating. And this is often a sign that the momentum is missing. And when momentum is missing, they often have a more or less not so interesting story. I mean, Chegg, they are they're providing educational material online. So yes, in the COVID-19 situation, that's very interesting. Maybe if you are a long-term investor, that's also interesting. But I think for short time momentum and explosive price moves, there are more interesting stocks. I'm monitoring that because it's also a COVID-19 stock, and you can see that it reaches the all-time high here, and I'm monitoring it. Maybe it can consolidate around that levels, but I would not buy the stock here. You can see that it is up multiple weeks in a row. And this is something where I don't buy into. I just want to see some consolidation. Yeah, Crowdstrike. Crowdstrike security, so software security company, had a very nice rally here. And you can see this exhaustion bar here. And this is something which is very typical for exhausting stocks. They try to revisit the all-time high in a very strong bull market. And you can see that here, this extreme volume, extreme price move in 1 week. And then the price revisited this level and then pulled back, because then people are taking profits and institutions are selling into the strength, so they're getting a second very good opportunity to sell. That does not mean that the stock will crash here or correct or something. It can also go sideways a little bit and produce something like a VCP pattern before it go higher. But it also can correct here, and I'm not interested at the moment to trade that stock. I'm just monitoring it. So it's a super grower in my opinion here, and that's why it's on my list. Carvana, I personally also don't like this behavior so much. I highlighted that in the last newsletter, but you can see, this range here from the highs to the lows, it's very high. So this is a huge range, and this can easily mean that the stock is going sideways here more. And and you can see also the sales growth is decreasing a little bit. Carvana, they published a news some weeks ago that they expect to have the strongest Q3, so third quarter results, I think, of their history or something. And this is very interesting, that the price now did not rally into that. We only saw 1 week of a very strong price move, and then it went sideways. So it shows me that either investors are waiting for the results, or on the other side, don't believe so much in the story here. Yeah, Data Nexus, I already spoke about that in my portfolio video. Datadog, I also spoke about that. Just maybe one thing here. I said that I sold it, and it pulled back here very nicely. I think Datadog is one of the strongest software stocks. It's not a 100% security stock. It's more a DevOps monitoring product, what they are providing. But it's very, very important for companies which are providing online services to monitor their infrastructure. And you must always have in mind, so when you are a company like Amazon or like Farfetch or whatever, and your total or your whole business is based on your e-commerce system, you are very interested that it runs perfectly, because otherwise, when you have a problem with your e-commerce platform and it's down 1 minute, 1 minute can easily be a few $1 million in revenue. And that's why companies like Datadog are so interesting, because they are offering all this monitoring stuff that you can monitor your systems and send out alarms or redeploy servers automatically. So very interesting. And they have a new agreement with Microsoft, so you can deploy Datadog products in the Amazon and the Microsoft Azure cloud. And I personally think Datadog is also an interesting merger candidate or a buyout candidate for a company like Microsoft, because they are offering a product which is a very good benefit for a cloud computing company. And Microsoft is maybe not, or maybe interesting to offer services like Datadog and integrate them into their Azure platform. And maybe they are the big buyers here behind all this huge volume growth here. Okay, so Douyu, another China stock. I think they are in the streaming business. Yeah, live streaming games and entertainment. So especially this live streaming games is something I find very interesting. You can see super growth numbers here over the last quarters. A little bit volatile here. And there was a huge volume spike with an up gap here. I'm not 100% sure what they're doing. Here you can read that. So they are acquired by Huya, which is also a streaming company in China. So they will merge with Huya. That's the story behind that. I'm just monitoring that. I'm not interested to trade them, especially when they are acquired. Daqo New Energy, China stock. They are producing, stuff for the solar industries. I think they are one of the largest producers of polysilicon in the world, and they are producing polysilicon for solar producers and solar companies, and solar is a very strong theme at the moment, and that's why also here Daqo is exploding to the upside. They produced a very weak bar for this week here, so let's see what will happen here. Maybe it needs a pullback or something. We will see. Numbers are strong, very strong here. I'm just monitoring that. I'm not interested to buy a stock which is well above this red line here. So I'm just monitoring the stock and wait for a consolidation like something here. This is much more which I'm interested in. Equinox Gold, another gold producer, IPO company going sideways here. Just monitoring that. Nothing to say about that company here. Etsy, e-commerce company, very interesting business model because they are selling all this handmade stuff via a very attractive platform. They're growing internationally, and so I think they have also a very interesting story. Good numbers, you can see that here. Expected a big EPS growth. They are still profitable for some years here. They have a lot of sales growth. The only thing what I don't like with Etsy, the first thing is, they are also very extended right now. So they had a strong rally. And you can see that especially here in the last weeks here, you can see that the stock always undercutted the highs. And this is also a sign that the trend is getting weaker and more people are selling into the trends. So that means they're selling into new highs. And you can see that always, you can see that also here in the trend here from 2017, 2018. You can see always something like retesting, and then here a strong up move to the upside with no pullback to the breakout level. That's what I always say. And then it's getting weaker. So, see fair breakouts to the upside. So every new high was used to get out of the stock. And this is always something when you see such behavior, it's always something where you can expect pullbacks. Okay, AXP World Holdings. I monitor the stock. I did not buy that here because, in my opinion, that was not enough consolidation time here. And then you can see here pullback this week. That's a typical stock which I will remove from my watch list because I think that needs too much time now to set up, and maybe this is also a candidate which can correct. Farfetch, I already talked about in portfolio video. Futu, I also talked about in the portfolio video. Fiverr, yeah, super strong rally. I sold that one a little bit too early this year, and you can see that a lot of those super momentum and super strong leaders of this year showing weaker candles, weaker bars, and this is also a sign of profit taking. And yeah, I'm not interested to buy that stock here. I was also not interested to buy this late stage breakout here, because often the stock is getting volatile or need more time or correct after such a monster rally. I'm monitoring Bitcoin at the moment. So GBTC is one vehicle where you can trade Bitcoin. You can see, and this is something I'm much more interested in. You can see a long time consolidation here. You can see this failed breakout to the downside, and then it reversed into this base, and yeah, now it's very close to that high here from June 2019. And we saw also here some good volume, and yeah, that's why I'm monitoring that. So Bitcoin, I'm just observing that from technical perspective. So I don't believe in any fundamental approach or any story approach behind that. I'm just observing here price, and that looks attractive. GDS, another China stock in the data center business. So they are providing carrier neutral data centers, which is also important if you are a foreign company and you want to have data centers in China. You need something like a neutral data centers. And yeah, I personally, I remind myself about that I traded GDS here in 2017, so I traded that rally here. And yeah, I was not so interested in that stock here in the last years, because it was also going sideways and very volatile, and yeah, that was not something I was interested in. But I think you can see that here it's setting up very nicely, and it's consolidating around this red line here. And yeah, maybe it will break out and run higher with all the other China stocks I'm owning or I'm watching at the moment. You can see the sales growth is very consistent, very good. More and more funds are investing into GDS, so this is not a small trash stock. This is more a stock which is also respected by investors. GrowGeneration, so it's more in the cannabis business, so home growing cannabis. Yeah, super impressive numbers, of course. So big sales growth, and also EPS is going to be attractive. I personally don't like the chart here. This is something, I said that when I spoke about Crowdstrike here. You can see that here, explosive rally to the upside, and then the stock is rallying or is going up and try to test the last highs here, and the momentum is missing here. And that's often a sign that the stock needs a little bit more time, another pullback, a shakeout to go higher. And also the stock is a little bit too small or not liquid enough for me or from my perspective. It also has only 100 funds which are owning that, and this is something where I'm not so interested in. JD, I spoke about that in portfolio video. Livongo, another big winner here in 2020. I bought the stock here. I sold it, I think 2 times. I sold it here, and I sold that here. The thing is with Livongo, it is bought, or it will have a merger with Teladoc so with Teladoc. And I don't trade merger stocks. So because you can see the volume is really going down here, and you have no idea what will happen after the merger, and I'm not interested in them. And also investors are not interested to trade merger stocks. So they're just waiting now that the companies merge and they get new shares from Teladoc. And so I'm not interested. I'm just monitoring that, and that's all. Cloudflare, monster performance here. I did not bought into the stock. I bought Fastly instead. Now I'm just waiting what will happen here. And maybe the stock needs a little bit more time to set up. Maybe it will rally higher. It also have earnings in 13 days. So very nice growth. I think they have also a very nice, attractive product for home office and smaller teams. So I'm really monitoring the stock here. NFE, New Fortress Energy, another very strong rally stock in that year. I did not trade that. I always was a little bit skeptical about this extreme growth numbers here, because if you look at what the stock is doing, so they are in the oil and gas sector and they produce gas, so they have to do with liquid natural gas, so LNG. And normally an LNG company is growing not so fast like New Fortress Energy. And when I see those numbers, I always try to look behind the story and see, okay, other numbers are coming from organic or not organic growth. But I think New Fortress Energy has a very interesting business model. So they have all this stations directly in the harbors, and they're producing liquid natural gas, and they are able to move all this LNG to, for example, companies which are needed them, and for example also in this recoverable energy sector, when you need LNG for to put that into your trucks or into your vehicles or something. New Fortress Energy is able to deliver that to you in a very efficient way. And when you look at the website from them, it looks very interesting. So I don't have so much knowledge about this sector and about this business, but when I compare that to other LNG companies, which are only taking gas out of the earth or out of whatever, and transport them into the harbors and selling them to companies. New Fortress Energy has a different business model and a different way of handling all this natural gas thing. So that's NFE. I'm just monitoring that. I'm not interested to buy that here because it's so high above this EMA 13 here, and I'm just monitoring that. NIO, another China stock. They're producing electric vehicles, so EVs, in China. Super interesting. I did not bought into the stock here because I personally thought it is still extended because it's so much above this 200 moving average here. And I wrote in a previous newsletter about so I made a special about the electric vehicles, and I personally wrote that NIO and NIO, which are the only companies which have consistent or which have sales and sales growth, I wrote about them that they will be the winners, and you can see that here. So with with NIO. So they are able to go higher, while other electric vehicle stocks like Workhorse or like Nikola or something, which are only story stocks and nothing else, went not higher. And this is typical for investors, because if you are owning a fund and you're managing a fund, you don't put so much capital into a story stock. Instead, you try to find companies which have a running business model. And this is NIO, and this is also NIO, and they are selling electric scooters, also China stock. And here very nice consolidation. I did not bought the stock because I put my money into other stocks here. Was a mistake in hindsight, definitely. I highlighted the stock here in the newsletter with this consolidation, and I did not bought it. However, maybe the stock will set up and then I'm able to buy into NIO. So Novocure, another medical stock. I just monitor that. I traded the stock here in 2019 in this very nice up run here. And now the stock broke out of this very long base here. And now I'm just monitoring that, if that can set up again or not. You can see that something changed in their business here, because they got profitable here in 2020. They're producing positive EPS growth. They have still consistent sales growth. And they are in the business here of cancer treatment with new and more innovative methods for cancer treatment. I'm not a specialist in that, but I'm just monitoring here the price behavior, and when the price sets up correctly, and then I'm getting interested maybe also to buy that stock here, Novocure. Nvidia, I'm only monitoring that, not interested to trade that at the moment. But this is the second, or one of the semiconductor companies I'm interested in, because as I said with AMD, so they are in a new business. They are more in the data center and producing graphic cards, which are used in data center. You always have in mind, if you think about Nvidia, that they are doing all this game consoles and graphic cards for gamers, blah, blah, blah. This is really not their business anymore. They are producing products for data centers. And I think they bought, here is the news, they acquired ARM, which is also, ARM is a producer of CPUs. And this is super interesting, because now a company like Nvidia is more going into the direction of, for example, an AMD. So they are offering this graphic card business, and they are offering processors, for example, for data centers. And maybe Nvidia want to go in that direction. But I also think that Nvidia wants to go into the mobile business much more, because ARM also produces processors for smartphones and mobile devices. So we will see, but I personally think, this is a 300 billion market cap stock, and it had a very nice rally, so that needs maybe more time to set up. By the way, I traded, I think, AMD here in that direction. And I also traded that here in 2016, a little bit later. I think it was here. So I got in, I think, here, and sold that something around here. And when they broke out again of the base here, and I remind the situation here with a gap up after earnings, then I bought it and sold it here into the strength a little bit later, when the market started to correct here. On track. I also wrote about that in the newsletter. On track is also in this telehealth and new health theme. So I'm monitoring the stock here, a little bit volatile, and I'm waiting that it can set up and maybe consolidate, something like that, and break out. We will see. I think they changed their name from Catalyst to OnTrack some months ago. Pinduoduo, I put that on my watch list. It's also a China stock, also in the e-commerce sector. And yeah, you can see here we had a failed breakout to the downside. So, and now maybe the stock is able to consolidate here around that level. And maybe it's going higher or not. The sales growth, you can see, decreased here a little bit, but it's still very high. I mean, they are doing around 1.7 billion in a quarter on the revenue side. So it's not a small company anymore. And they will maybe turn profitable next year. Pinterest, I already spoke about that in the portfolio video. Plug Power, another stock I'm monitoring, but I'm not interested to trade them. I traded the stock around here, but I sold that too early. I think I got stopped out or something around here, and then I did not buy it back. So yeah, that happens. That's trading. And Plug Power, I'm just monitoring that only because I'm monitoring all this alternative energy stocks and solar stocks, and also I have a look at this electric vehicle theme, and Plug Power is one of them. And I'm just monitoring Plug Power at the moment. Peloton, another one. Here, remind or have the situation from Fiverr in your mind. I spoke about that some minutes ago. So the momentum stocks are pulling back here. Peloton, I mean, great numbers, definitely acceleration in sales growth again. So I think they are a very interesting company. I don't think that the products we are seeing at the moment are the products we will see in 10 years from Peloton. I think they will be, much more go into the direction of having sports community, maybe in your TV or in your smartphone or whatever. And they get a little bit more competition now from Apple. So Apple also launched a sports platform. But I think Peloton is definitely also from the branding side one of the interesting names here when it comes to new fitness companies or new fitness business models. QDEL, I'm just monitoring that stock here because it had a so nice rally from the EMA 200 here that I got interested in then, and now I'm just watching that. Maybe it can set up here and then go higher. Very strong numbers here, or expected numbers for next year. Good growth in sales and also EPS. It's one of the COVID-19 stocks here. I traded the stock here, so I bought that here and I sold them a little bit higher, so I just swing traded that more, and that was a recent trade here. Roku, I already spoke about that in the portfolio video. SailPoint, another one. I think it's also in the software security business. I don't know so much about the stock here, but I got interested in the stock because it's holding up very nicely in comparison to a lot of other software stocks. So compare that, for example, with Crowdstrike or Okta or other names in that sector. So it's holding up very nicely and had this super strong rally here. And that's why I just monitor them and see what's going on. You can see there's not so much interested from the institutional side. They have also not so good expected numbers here. So, that's why I'm just monitoring it. C Limited also, that's more an Asia company. It's not a China company. It's an entertainment business. Very consistent growth above the 100 percentage level here. So monster stock. I missed the stock here after the correction. But I bought other names. So that's trading. And I think personally, I'm just monitoring the stock here. You can see the same effect with like I pointed out here on bandwidth. So this is a resistance line going higher, and every time when the resistance line is touched, the stock pulls back, and this is a clear sign that the stock is losing momentum. Shopify going sideways here, so I'm just looking at that. We'll present numbers here next week, and I'm just observing the stock here. I mean, I personally think this stock has a lot of potential to the upside. I'm not so I'm not so happy with this expected earnings next year. So I think that would be not very good for the stock if that have a negative growth here. You can see that the numbers of funds are above 1,000, so it's really an institutional favorite, and it's growing has super high numbers in growth here. So very interesting, still very interesting after this monster rally here from what was the level here? So around $20 to 1,000 here in the last years. And I traded the stock multiple times in the last year. C-Time, this is another semiconductor stock. I traded also the stock. I think it was here and sold it a little bit higher, so more as a swing trade. And I think you can see that your expected growth, EPS growth for next year is monster, and also the sales growth is really good. They have only 5 million shares in float. This is something I always look for because there's very little supply, only 5 million shares, and that makes it very difficult for funds to buy a lot of shares, and that's why maybe also the stock rallied so much here. It's around this $100 level. I don't have any interest to buy that at the moment, so that needs more a pullback and a multi-week or even months consolidation. Snap was, I think, the best winner of this week. So they presented earnings, and they had extreme nice numbers, really extreme nice numbers. You can see that here with a 52% growth of sales. They presented positive earnings here, and I think that was a sign. That was a sign for a lot of institutions that now Snap is becoming more and more a serious competition in the social media world. And remind yourself about Pinterest. So Pinterest and Snapchat both are winners for social media at the moment. And also you can see here Snapchat is breaking out of this multi-year IPO base with a monster volume. And a monster price. So it's more than 50% up in this week with a 600% volume surge. So monster movement and monster trends. Now I would wait for something like a consolidation before I buy into such a stock. But this is a very clear sign that now institutions are repositioning themselves and taking Snap much more serious as in the past. You can see that if you look at the chart here, you can see it's always going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and then you have this monster 1 week, which is really changing the price behavior here. So from a more or less trendy stock, it's turning into a momentum stock at the moment. So very interesting. Sprout Social, another software stock, and just monitor that name. I think they're providing software to organize your social media presence. I'm just monitoring the stock at the moment because it's a very young IPO stock, and maybe it can set up, maybe not. I don't know. Just monitoring them to have also a little bit more software stocks on my watch list. Square, also, I'm just monitoring that stock. Not interesting at the moment. I think they have a very nice estimate for next year. They have good growth, but yeah, the EPS growth was negative in the last quarter, so not a very good sign. And you can see also that the stock has something like a resistance line here. So I'm just monitoring them. Maybe it needs more time to go sideways and then maybe going higher. Teladoc. Yeah, Teladoc will merge with Livongo. So I think that's one thing which is holding the stock down. But I believe a lot in this telehealth theme. I think this is really disrupting the whole medical and health business. And I mean, look at them. They are only 18 billion market cap. I mean, this is nothing when you compare that with the potential. You know, you must always have in mind, if you look at growth stocks, you must always look or have an imagination about the future. So what will happen if Teladoc has 10% share of the current health sector? So in that situation, they will not have a market cap of 18 billion. In that position, they will have a much, much, much higher market cap. And that's what I'm always thinking about when I look at such disruptive and growth stocks. I think that they will need more time. They will need the merger first with Livongo. And then we will see if the stock can rally again or if that needs a correction or some new catalyst or whatever. But I'm just monitoring the stock at the moment. Tesla, monster rally stock. I think I was more convinced about the stock some days ago, but you can see that it has problems to hold the red line here. So this is a red flag in my opinion. They have monster numbers here, monster expectation of earnings growth, and also presented good numbers. So, but you must always have in mind, I mean, the stock rallied here from $30 to 400, and maybe it needs a lot of more time to go sideways. And they have around 890 billion market cap, so this is a big one, and they are institutional favorite. But you must always have in mind, you know, Tesla is not only a car company or electric vehicle company. They are doing very, very good also in the solar business. And you must always know, when people are investing into Tesla, they always have Elon Musk before their eyes. And Elon Musk stands for disruptive businesses, and he also built up Tesla. He also built up SpaceX. He built up PayPal. And if you think about Tesla, it's really easy for Elon Musk, for example, to integrate SpaceX into such a company like Tesla. And he has also a stake in the Hyperloop project with Richard Branson together. So maybe that's also a merger candidate. And I think that there's a lot of potential with Tesla in the future. And I can imagine, and this is a point, I can imagine easily that Tesla will be one of the largest car producers in the world, and I can easily imagine that they have a market cap of 1 trillion or 2 or whatever trillion. Because there's so much potential in the future for a company like Tesla. TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor, looks super, super nice here. Think about that, if you look at Taiwan Semiconductor, I think not so much people know the company, but they have a market cap of 450 billion. So this is the big, or one of the biggest semiconductor producers in the world, and they don't have a brand or something. They are producing semiconductors for a lot of other companies. So all this fabless semiconductor companies, That means they don't have an own factory, and they giving the offers or giving the or they are using Taiwan Semiconductors so that Taiwan Semiconductors produces the semiconductors for them. And that makes it super easy for companies like Nvidia or AMD to have very efficient production of semiconductors. And and then those companies can concentrate on developing semiconductors, so the architecture of semiconductors, and TSM provides them the best way to produce them for the lowest costs. And I think TSM, there's only one other company which is called United Micro Electronics. They are doing something similar. TSM is the biggest producer in the world for that fabulous or factoryless semiconductor. Yeah, and they are looking very, very nice here. You can see something like a flag pattern. I bought the stock here on that week where it tried to break out and failed, and sold, of course, the stock. And now I'm waiting if the stock is able to rally again or not. So they're growing very, very fast here for a semiconductor company. And I'm still interested in that. Twilio, another software stock. I personally think they have a lot of potential in the future, but you can see the same effect here. There's not so much momentum after this monster gap up here. So I bought the gap up here, and I think I sold it something like here. So when the market starts to correct, and I bought other stocks, and it was really a problem here with the momentum. So normally when you see that a stock really exploded to the upside here, you want to see more momentum, so faster price movements to the upside. And so I'm just monitoring here Twilio. I think from the product perspective, company perspective, they are super interesting. They are offering so much different products on their platform for communication. So from messages over all this telephone communication things. They are providing APIs for video chat and etc. So that's a lot of interesting things, and they bought some interesting companies. So they bought some months ago a company for email communication. Now they bought Segment, which is a company more about segmenting your customers or segmenting your contacts. So I think this is also a very interesting add-on to their product portfolio. And you can see it's around 1,000 funds are owning the stock. So it's becoming more and more an institutional favorite. We will see if the stock is maybe able to consolidate here nicely and in a tight way, and then I'm also interested to buy the stock. Twist Bioscience is the only biotech company I have on my watch list. I monitor the company here for a long time, and then it broke out. So I think it's a little bit complicated to explain what they are doing, but when I see how they present their products and what they are doing, so that they are able, for example, to send DNA code via email, and they print DNA sequences, and you can order them online, etc. So this is very disruptive and very innovative. I'm not a specialist in biotech stocks, but I think this looks very innovative and very interesting for me, and they have a good numbers here, so good growth. So they are doing they are not developing biotech drugs or something, or they're not doing drug development or something. No, they are really offering products, and this is why I personally think this is more a medical service company and not a biotech company. And I'm just monitoring the price here. Maybe it can set up. We saw a very nice rally here, and this shows me that there is demand for the stock, and maybe it's able to set up soon. Okay, UMC, I already spoke about that very shortly. So they are also a Taiwanese manufacturer of semiconductor related things. I got very interested in the stock when I saw this explosive run here to the upside with super high volume. That was a time when I started to monitor the stock. I did not bought into the stock because this is a stock which shows a lot of gap ups in the daily chart. So now I switch one time in the daily chart so that you can see all those gap ups. And the gap ups are a sign for me that the stock is traded in another country with a huge of volume and a huge of attention. And that is, of course, Taiwan. And I don't like stocks which are traded mainly in their own countries, because we have a very high risk of overnight gaps. And that's why I personally don't trade UMC here. Zoom, one of the super stocks of 2020. I'm just monitoring the stock again. So now you can see every higher high is sold here. It's getting very tight here, and there's something like a clear support line. And you can see that Zoom is around this $500 level, and they have a very weak this week. So a down week, and maybe that's a sign for that the stock needs a pullback or something. And this is something I also want to highlight here with Zoom, because you can see this year they are able to grow, or next year they are able to grow their EPS by 600%, and then the following year, so 2022, they only have an expectation of 10%, and this is very low. And another thing is, of course, the growth is extreme high, so monster growth, monster EPS growth and sales growth, and this makes it very hard next year to top those numbers. So, but I personally believe in the product, so they are thinking that they will also expand into other business fields, so like event streaming, so that you can attend events online with a platform. So I think they have also some potential in the future. We will see. Zscaler is the last stock on my watch list. Very similar here to Crowdstrike, you can see that. So very similar, one exhausting week here, then the stock tries to rally back, and that is a situation for a lot of people who want to sell. And and this is what we are seeing at the moment. Strong sales growth, of course. Not so strong EPS growth anymore, but I think you can see here the estimates for next year and the year 2022 are very nice. So, and from a fundamental perspective, that's something I want to see. And you can see also here, now you can see that there's also something like a channel or resistance line, and this is stopping, or this makes it difficult to for the stock to develop a lot of momentum, and then this failed breakout above this channel. So William O'Neill called that a sell signal. So when the stock breaks out above a channel, so sell it, because it's not very likely that such a stock can accelerate can accelerate more and more and more, because you must see, you know, the stock was already up here from 34 to around 110 at the time, and it needs a lot of more momentum to bring the stock on higher price levels and to bring the stock to double and triple again. So, and that was not, and ZS or Zscaler was not able to develop that momentum here. And that's just very typical, you know, if you see these channels or this resistance lines here, this is a situation I always avoid, because people are selling on this resistance line, and this stops momentum and makes it very hard for the stock to deliver the performance I want to see. All right, that was my watch list. I know it was a very long video here, and but it was a thank you for your loyalty as a subscriber, and I hope you like that. But I also can say that this is a one-time thing, and in the next issues I just go back to 3 stocks I highlight in the newsletter. So thank you, and see us in another video, maybe in the YouTube channel.